Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and now continuing with the Lord of the Rings Hobbit movie reviews. Continuing taking a look at the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy. And, well, sort of. Also, like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, yeah. Continuing looking at the Peter Jackson trilogy. Well, here I am with a review for The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. So, yeah, this is definitely like uh, once again, just like Fellowship of the Ring, this is like a really great film. I mean, of the Peter Jackson trilogy, I'd say that this one is probably the quote unquote weakest film of the trilogy. Uh, but that's not to say that it's bad at all, but it's just that, with this film, the action scenes and stuff, and all like the fighting and stuff in this film, it's really like cut down a lot in this film. This film is made like most of it is just like a lot of talking going on in this. Like this was something that my brother has always said. Like he just feels that this movie has just like a lot more talking in it and stuff rather than it does like a lot of the action stuff that like Fellowship of the Ring had, and even like of course Return of the King has. When I watched this film, I did like kind of see it the same way. Like this film does have like it does have like its share of action scenes in it and stuff, and like with battles and stuff. But yeah, it's really like cut down a lot from like how much Fellowship of the Ring had. So yeah, yeah. Most of this film is mainly just them talking and journeying in this film, but I mean, it's still like interesting to watch. Like, it still really does captivate all of people's interest, and it really does like continue on with the story, and it does tell the story like really well. Once again, I mean, yeah, and plus this still has like some great acting in it, has some great visuals, some great effects, a great score. Yeah, I forgot to mention my review for Fellowship of the Ring. These movies do have like phenomenal scores and stuff, and yeah, the cast once again is all great in this film, and so yeah, the Two Towers is definitely like a really worthy follow up to Fellowship of the Ring, and a really good way to continue on with the story. And I do kind of like see in a sense why it does like have the tone that I was talking about with like it's more like talking, and because yeah, it is really just like the middle part of this three-part story, and yeah, I guess it makes sense why they had it be like this because yeah, with like the first part, like it is like the introduction of the story, and so yeah, you really do want to like really captivate people's interests and stuff. So you really do want to like make it action packed and stuff, and so it really does like make people interested in it and really do love it and stuff. Yeah, and then with the second part of it, well, you really do just like want to make it like with the middle one, you want to like just make it so that it really does like further the story and stuff, and like just like keep it like keep it kind of like toned down in a sense. And since it is just like the middle part, and you really don't want to really just want to make sure like it really does like do its job for like furthering the story and stuff. And then yeah, with the final part, like for it to go out in like a blaze of glory and stuff, you really want to like make it like once again like really action packed and stuff, so people really do have like really will love the last part of it, like Return of the King did. So yeah, I get in a sense why they have the tone for this movie where it's more talking and stuff than action, but yeah, it's still like a really great film overall. Yeah, plus like the action scenes that this movie really has with the battles and stuff, I really do like love the battle scenes and this. Like of course like the opening of the film with Gandalf of battling the Balrog, like kind of like the flashback from Fellowship. That really is like awesome. And also like in the beginning of the film, like Gollum's attack on uh, Frodo and Sam, that's like really awesome. And as well as the Battle of Helm's Deep towards the end of the film, that's great too. So yeah, the battle scenes that this movie has and the action scenes, they still are like really great. But yeah, like I said, it's just toned down a lot, and it's mainly more talking in this film. Yeah, and yeah, this film, I'm like, it's kind of like folk like it's kind of like set around like two different plots of this film. Like one is like the stuff with like Sam and Frodo still like still like continuing on their journey to Mordor, and so yeah, that's like one part of this, and of course like they come across Gollum, and they have Gollum like kind of like lead them to Mordor, and so yeah, that's one of the plots of this film, and the other one is with Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli like continuing with their pursuit and stuff against the Uruk-hai army as well as the orcs. So yeah, and of course like they also like do like reunite with Gandalf in this film, which is like talked about in this film, which I will get into in this review. But yeah, that so yeah, it's mainly like set around two different stories with like the stuff with Frodo and Sam, and with the stuff with Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and Gandalf. So, yeah, and yeah, just about everybody from Fellowship of the Ring return to reprise their roles. Yeah, you still have Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Ian McKellen, Viggo Mortensen, Billy Boyd, Dominic Monaghan, John Rhys Davies, Orlando Bloom. Yeah, just yeah, it's pretty much like the everybody from Fellowship return, as well as like a bunch of new characters, which features of course Gollum. Yeah, Gollum. He. This is his first appearance in these movies, and yeah, Gollum is just absolutely phenomenal. Oh, sorry. He's just like really done phenomenally in this film. Like the CG for Gollum is just fantastic, and just the way the characters is written and stuff, it's just done like absolutely. It blows like Ralph Bakshi's version completely out of the water and stuff. And yeah, Gollum in this film, he's just like so great. I mean, his voice is great, and plus just the way they like have his split personality. He written, it's just like that's done really well, and so yeah, Gollum is just like written so fantastically in this film, and so yeah, just yeah, this is still like a really great film overall. Like I said, probably the weakest of the trilogies due to like its lack of action scenes, and plus, yeah, it does seem that the characters are kind of like not as fleshed out, and like this film really doesn't take as many risks with the characters as Fellowship did. With like nothing really happens to Frodo in this film, and of course like Gandalf comes back and stuff, and really like nothing really happens to like any of the main characters and stuff like what we saw in Fellowship with like Merry and Pippin getting captured by the Uruk-hai army, and with uh, Boromir dying, and what happened to Gandalf. So yeah, we don't get like as much of that in anything really like that with the main characters in this film. It's like people that do that are just like supporting characters that we really don't have much of a connection with, like we do with the main characters, like in Fellowship. So yeah, I guess that's one of this movie's flaws. But I mean, the good definitely like tramps over its few flaws that it has. It's still like a very great movie. I would give this once again 3.75 stars out of 4. So yeah. So, yeah, I've already gone on for about 8 minutes, and this is like a 3-hour movie, so let me not waste any time. Let me just get right into it. Alright, so, yeah, the movie just like opens up with like the flashback from Fellowship with what happened to Gandalf when he was battling the Balrog, and he like fell down with the Balrog supposedly to his death. And it just showed like as Gandalf was falling, he continued to battle with the Balrog, which was a really awesome opening. And then it just showed like, I'm not sure if it was just like a dream by Frodo, or if it was like actual a flashback and just it showed then Frodo then waking up. I'm not sure, but yeah, then it showed like Frodo waking up, and it showed that Frodo and Sam were still like continuing with their quest to Mordor. And they eventually like discovered that Gollum was stalking them, and then yeah, Gollum of course like he wanted to, since like he was the former owner of the ring, he wanted to reclaim the ring. So yeah, he tried to uh, attack Frodo and Sam to get the ring back, but then yeah, Frodo and Sam eventually ended up capturing Gollum. And then yeah, the first that they were just like actually like pulling him with like a rope they had around Gollum's neck or something. And then they were just gonna leave Gollum for dead, but then because like uh, Gollum just fell was just saying that he just deserved to die and he'll just like get killed or stuff, Frodo was starting to like become sympathetic towards Gollum, and so Frodo decided to spare Gollum's life and then just use Gollum as a guide to lead him and Sam to Mordor. And Sam really like didn't trust Gollum and just felt that Gollum was trying to trick them. But yeah, Frodo was still insistent on just sparing Gollum and letting Gollum lead them to Mordor, since Gollum had actually been there before. So yeah, and then throughout this film, it's just like Gollum like just leading Frodo and Sam to like through like the kingdoms and stuff, and just through the forests and everything, and towards Mordor and stuff. So yeah, and I'll get back to like the stuff with Frodo, Sam, and Gollum later on. But yeah, now for right now, I'm gonna concentrate now on the other plot of this movie with the stuff with Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. I'm just gonna concentrate on this part for now, right? And so yeah, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli were like still in pursuit of the Uruk-hai to save Merry and Pippin after they were captured by them at the end of Fellowship of the Ring, and yeah, and then like the Uruk-hai were joined up by orcs, and then like they were like still had like Merry and Pippin in their grasp, and it's like they were hungry and like it's like they were gonna try to eat Merry and Pippin, but then they got ambushed by the Rohirrim. Rohirrim, is that how it's said? Yeah. Which was the army of Rohan, and then yeah, during the ambush, Merry and Pippin were able to escape. Hey, but then yeah, they then like found themselves in the Fanghorn Forest, and then they ended up meeting the like actual like tree that was alive, the Ent Treebeard, who like Merry and Pippin befriended. And yeah, that's another thing that goes on in this film. It has Merry and Pippin like with the with Treebeard, and yeah, they're just like with him for majority of this film. So yeah, that? Yeah. And yeah, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli eventually ended up meeting the Rohirrim along with their leader Eormir. Is that how it's said? Yeah. And yeah, Eormir like just revealed that their king Theoden was like being like manipulated, just basically like his mind was being controlled by Grima Wormtongue, which who is a servant of Sauron. And yeah, Christopher Lee also he returns as Sauron in this film. Yeah, his he does have like a very like limited role in this. Like his role is not as big in this film as it is in Fellowship, but yeah, he still does like really great in this film. For the time that he has on screen and stuff, yeah. And then and yeah, and like yeah, and then yeah, the just Theoden is just like manipulated by into turning a blind eye to Saruman's forces, to running rampant in Rohan. And yeah, and and yeah, yeah, and then like Aragorn asked if they had actually seen like two hobbits and if they had were still alive, and then Theoden just told Aragorn that they didn't leave any survivors. So then like Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli just then presumed that Merry and Pippin were now destroyed. But then yeah, they still went to try to track them down, and then they eventually ended up encountering Gandalf again, and now Gandalf, his appearance was different. He was now had white hair and beard, and was now wearing like a white robe and stuff. And then yeah, Gandalf then just like of course like Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas were all just like just shocked to see Gandalf again. And then Gandalf just explained to them what had actually happened when he fell, and how he actually did defeat uh, Balrog, and then he then just said that he was now back to save Middle Earth and stop the Uruk-hai and orcs and everyone along with them, and he was now Gandalf the White rather than Gandalf the Grey. Yeah. And then yeah, Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, and Gandalf all then traveled to Edoras, which was the capital of Rohan, and then yeah, Gandalf then confronted Theoden and eventually ended up releasing him from the Wormtongue's influence and on Theoden, and yeah, Wormtongue then just ended up being banished from the Edoras, yeah, and then and yeah, once Theoden found out what Saruman's plans were about wiping out Rohan with the Uruk-hai army, he then moved the citizens of Edoras to Helm's Deep, which was like a fortress is that was like providing refugee to the people of Rohan in the past, and then yeah, Gandalf then just went off to find the aid of Rohirrim, and, and so yeah, and then like there was also this stuff with like Aragorn apparently like now having like sort of a connection with Eowyn, which was Theoden's niece, and yeah, she of course like had some interest in him, yeah, and as like they were like in an attack against Warg, yeah, there was like a Warg attack on the Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and like the people of Rohan, yeah, Aragorn ended up just being like knocked off of a cliff or something, and then he ended up falling into the river, and then was presumed dead. But then like it showed that Aragorn like was just like his horse Brigo had found him, and then Aragorn was then taken to Helm's Deep, and then as the Uruk-hai army was arriving at Helm's Deep, they then like was trying to make an army of well, yeah, they had their army, and then yeah, they just then found like the army of like civilians and elves from Lothlorien in there, and then yeah, they then like did battle for Helm's Deep and stuff, and yeah, like I said before, like this battle was done like with an all blue backing and stuff. Like this was like took place during the night and stuff, so yeah, it really looked like an all blue backing and stuff, as opposed to like in the Ralph Bakshi film where it was like in an all red backing. So yeah, it's interesting that they did it like that, yeah. And eventually, like Gandalf had arrived at the Fangorn Forest, and then apparently Gandalf actually knew Treebeard. Yeah, and then and like Merry and Pippin then just like convinced Gandalf to take them to Ishgard right after her council with the Ents, and then uh, yeah, Treebeard's you're just like agree to like he wouldn't actually participate in this war that's going on between them, yeah. And then after like Treebeard ended up like seeing just what had happened to Isengard, then and yeah, all the Ents were just summoned by Treebeard to just storm the Isengard, while the orcs would drown in a flood, and yeah, Saruman would also end up be stranded in his tower. So then, and yeah, also then like some of the Fangorn trees ended up like being sent over to Helm's Deep. And then eventually like Gandalf and Rohirrim arrive at Helm's Deep, as it was like turning into sunrise, and then yeah, they then ended up like turning the tide of the battle, and then yeah, they just ended up like destroying all the Uruk-hai, and well, most of the Uruk-hai anyway, and just got to the point where just everyone else who was left just ended up like fleeing, and then the trees just ended up like slaughtering everyone that was left. And yeah, Gandalf then just warned everyone that Sauron's retaliation would be terrible and swift. So yeah, and that's basically like the what went on in this film with like Aragorn, Gandalf, Legolas, Gimli, and yeah, everyone else like that. That's pretty much what went on with them in this film. Okay, and then going back to the stuff with Frodo and Sam, as Gollum was like leading him to Mordor, Gollum just then like just convinced Sam and Frodo that they could get through another entrance to Mordor besides the Black Gate, and then yeah, and yeah, of course, like at one point, Gollum like gave Frodo some food to eat, and then as they were cooking it, like Sam just said that they need a few good taters, and yeah, this of course has just like become so viral with the potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew stuff. I mean, there's been like a remix of this. It's just like been all over the place. Yeah, who would have thought that just some line like this would just become so popular with people and they would actually remix this? So, yeah, potatoes. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, and eventually, like Frodo and Sam ended up like being captured by the Rangers of Ithilien, and yeah, and they were actually led by Boromir's brother, Faramir, and then yeah, once Frodo and Sam had actually revealed to Faramir who they were and what they were trying to do, who Gollum was like ended up like being tortured after he was like being like kind of like convinced in a notion that he was like Frodo had like betrayed him or something. Frodo actually stopped the Rangers from actually killing a Gollum, and then once Faramir actually did learn that Frodo actually had the ring, he then just like made Frodo and Sam just like take him to Gondor, but then and eventually Sam just revealed to Faramir why Boromir was dead, and just told them that he was like driven mad by the ring and tried to take it from Frodo, and yeah, then Faramir then set Frodo, Sam, and Gollum free. Yeah, but he also, as he was setting them free, he warned them that there was a creature within Cirith Ungol that Gollum was actually taking them to. And then, yeah, and then, well, yeah, the movie then just like ended with Gollum was still like feeling like really hurt, hurt with like him feeling that Frodo had betrayed him, and then he still felt that he wanted to reclaim the ring again. Oh, and I should also mention like in this film, Frodo also actually does reveal to Gollum that he knows who he really is, and that he was once a Smeagol, and that's who he really is. And so, yeah, and with Gollum's split personality stuff in this, it's like his good side is Smeagol, and then his bad side is a Gollum. And so, yeah, Gollum is just like coming up with the like really twisted acts of his, while Smeagol is like trying to really like fight off the bad side and stuff. Like he was trying to tell the bad side to, well, yeah, I guess Smeagol was like telling Gollum to just leave and never come back and stuff, and then yeah, Gollum then like at the end of this film he was just saying that he will destroy Sam and Frodo, and yeah, then I guess Smeagol ended up just saying that agreeing to it, and so then he said that he would lead Sam and Frodo to quote unquote her, which of course he's talking about Shelob. Oh, and then yeah, he will take them to Shelob once they're at uh, Cirith Ungol, and then yeah, the movie then just ended with uh, Frodo and Sam just following Gollum, and it showed that he was actually like heading towards Cirith Ungol, and then yeah, the movie then just like ended once again on kind of like a cliffhanger to like lead into, of course, the next film. So yeah, that's really how this movie ended. And yeah, those are really the two main premises of this film, with the stuff with Frodo and Sam and their the confrontation and stuff with Gollum, and then yeah, the stuff with Legolas, Gimli, Aragorn, and then yeah, the resurrection of Gandalf and what goes on with them in this film. So yeah, a really great film once again. 3.75 stars out of 4. Like I said, it doesn't really take as many chances as Fellowship of the Ring did because yeah, we don't really like see any chances really taken with the main characters, and nothing like what we saw with them in Fellowship of the Ring. But still, it is definitely like a really great story to it, despite the lack of action scenes that this movie has, and it's mostly just talking in this film. But yeah, the action scenes that this movie does have, they are really great. Okay, with the opening with Gandalf and uh, Balrog, and the fight with Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, and then the Battle of Helm's Deep at the end. So yeah, it still has its fair share of awesome action scenes in this, as well as just a phenomenal score, great prosthetics, great motion capture, great CGI, great acting. It basically still does have the elements that Fellowship of the Ring did, where yeah, it does make it once again a really awesome film. And yeah, yeah, just yeah, not really like I said, probably the weakest of the trilogy, but it's still a great film nonetheless. So yeah, I definitely do. Well, no, you have seen this film, so yeah, I can't say I recommend it because you all have already seen this film. So yeah, a really great film overall. Alright, so yeah, that does it for my review of Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and so yeah, and like I told you guys before, I actually do get to the end of this trilogy with my review of Return of the King. And like I told you guys before, I'm doing like these comparisons of this trilogy to the animated films, and I still have one more and of these animated films to cover, and that is the animated Return of the King. So yeah, I'm gonna be reviewing this up next, and then after I review this, then I will resume my reviews for the Jackson movies and the review Return of the King. And so, yeah, next up I'll be comparing the two different versions of Return of the King. Alright, so stay tuned for the two Return of the King reviews coming up next. But anyway, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review of The Two Towers. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.